Peter Martin here. It is 2 o'clock Central here in the United States, St. Louis, Missouri, Friday. Very excited to be here. Thank you guys for joining me. This is our, what is this, our third, fourth AMA? I don't know. So many questions, so little time. But, wow, I hear myself. So, we want to just make sure the sound is good. If you would, in the chat here, we're doing this on YouTube, out of special request for some folks that are anti-Facebook. I get it. So we're trying it out over here on YouTube. I hope this works good for you guys. If you would, in the comments, just say hey and where you are in the world would be great. And if you can hear okay. The piano and me, I got a little lavalier here, so. Sounds okay, if you can hear me. I don't know, maybe you're just looking at me flapping my fingers around and my mouth open and you can't hear anything. Who knows? But I hope you can hear it. And then whenever you're ready, ask away. Don't just say it, because I can't hear it, actually. You can hear me. Unfortunately, I can't hear you. But I can hear you in the comments, so feel free to just ask me anything, as they say. Cool? All right. Manu from Paris, what's going on, Manu? And actually, Manu has the first question, which is awesome because he was here early. Early bird gets the worm. Greetings from Mexico. What's up, Gerardo? Good to see you here. You got a question? Can you? Sounds great. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see. Ronald, Ocean City, New Jersey. Good. All right. So let's get going. I'm gonna start at the top here. Manu from Mexico. From Mexico. Hi. What can you say about foot, legs during piano playing? I mean, about tempo and move, foot and legs. Thank you. Well, this is funny because I'm in a horrible position here as I was just playing, and normally I really try to have good position. But what I can say is that we want to think about, you know, our feet, our legs, our whole body in terms of how we're seated at the instrument and how we can put the energy in and take the energy back from the instrument. That's what it's all about. Now, if you're talking about tempo and moving foot of leg, like in terms of tapping, I think that is really like a personal thing. I've seen some great pianists that hardly move their feet or legs at all. And then some that are tapping a lot, like on the back of the foot. I don't know, you probably can't see here, but you know, you can tap on your toes, you can tap on the back of your feet, you can do both feet. Obviously, we need to use the pedals. So I think it's really just a personal preference. But if you get into a lot of tapping, you got to think about, you know, especially when we start going wide and moving around to the different registers of the piano, that, you know, balance and strength really comes into play. So if you're doing too much tapping and moving of your legs, sometimes, oh, there we go, we got the little overhead happening. So we don't want to do so much, especially with both feet, that we're getting out of balance. So I think that's the most important thing. Tap your foot, have a good time, and but don't let it get in the way of the balance, okay? Hope that answers that. Oh, Manu, oh, I'm from Paris. I'm sorry. I said Mexico. Somebody else was from Mexico. But there you go. What's up, Ron in Atlanta? Good to see you, brother. Gerardo from Mexico. I'm a big fan of your playing style and your jazz advice. My question is, what do you recommend to play with the left hand when playing a ballad in a trio format? That's a great question. You know, we always think of solo piano being the most difficult in terms of our choices because we have to fill everything in. But when we're playing with a trio, especially a good trio, we've actually got some kind of restrictions on what we can do, or at least, you know, people that we need to fit in. Mainly sort of on a ballad would be the bass player in a trio. So, you know, what we can do with our left hand, I don't think we need to think that it's that different than when we play solo, but we need to be listening even closer so that we're, you know, making the adjustments and not necessarily playing the exact same thing as the bass player, but matching and syncing in, kind of dovetailing. So if you're doing like, and we're playing solo here, you know, we're at a certain period going down, thinking about those roots, knowing we're the only ones that can play them. If I'm playing with a bass player, I might lay off that and come into this sort of tenor range. You know, a bass starts down here. That's their lowest string. That's their 4 strings in actual pitch. So once you get to about here, you're pretty high up on the G string. You know, you're in the 4th, 5th position and stuff. So anything in here, unless the bass player is playing way up on the top string, the G string, there's not going to be any clashing. So until you kind of know what's happening and can really, you know, get that rapport going. But when the bass player, then you hear him go down to the 5 maybe, you can jump down there too. So I'm playing more like I would probably I'm imagining what a bass player would be playing. And there's certain times when I know most bass players are going to go down that route, and even if they don't, they might go the 5th, the 3rd, and so that's going to match. The other thing is, when we play something that clashes in a trio setting, like with the bass player on a ballad, don't try to fix it. Try to make it into something musical. So if the bass player maybe plays 2 and you play 1, and you go to the root and he's there and not quite at the root, play a line that's musical up into the kind of tenor alto range where you know you're going to be out of he or she's way in that bass area. You know what I mean? So always try to make it musical. Don't be so timid that you're like, I can't play down there. But listen closely, get out of the way when you need to play together. Hopefully the bass player's listening as well, okay? All right. What's up, Lila? Excited to be from New York, to be here from New York. Awesome, good to see you. Blake from Austin. What's going on? Peter in Jersey. Jersey, what's going on? Ronald JC, my friend, how you doing from Ocean City, New Jersey? Peter, can you show some, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I didn't. Peter, can you please show some 3-6-2-5-1 drills with different upper structures? Thanks. Okay, let me just sort of do what kind of comes, you know, the top of my head. We're in the key of C. So normally 3-6-2-5, we're thinking like that. But what about if we think about the 3, instead of a minor, let's think about it as a 13 flat 9. And what this can do is gives us a D flat triad. And then let's turn that into a pentatonic, major pentatonic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when we go to the A, so that it kind of has some direction, harmonic direction and progression, we're going to go to, I'm just making this up, so who knows, I think it'll sound good. We'll go to 6, A7, flat 13, sharp 9. Now, so that gives us an F triad. Okay, so back to the 3, 13 flat 9, 6, F over A, sharp 9, flat 13. And then let's repeat the same thing down a whole step on the 2 and the 5. So we're going like a B over D, which is really a D, 13 flat 9. And then we're going to G, what did we do? Oh, so E flat over G. And then we resolve to A, to C. It sounds kind of complicated, but I think it might work. Okay? Especially if you're moving through it quicker. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Something like that. One more time. And that's kind of a type of thing. It's got a lot of tension in all those chords because they've all become dominant. So it's 3, 6, 2, 5, but they're all dominant chords. So that's a little an idea that you could definitely take through different keys. Like that kind of practice. Okay? Little idea for you. Cool. Oh, great. We got some folks here. some folks around the world. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Blake says, any advice on playing changes that are non-functional harmony, such as infinize? Adam, can you refresh me on what the heck non-functional means again?
I think it just means not like a bunch of 5-1 cadences, but things that are seemingly random
okay.
movements.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. But to me, infinize, well, I don't know. Okay, so Adam, my partner here, is saying, my musical partner is saying that non-functional is like not typical 5-1 cadence structures and unexpected harmonic movements. So yeah, let's see. Infinize. You know, I think that we always want to really think about the melody and how it relates to the harmonic form. That's so important on any tune, but when we get to this non-functional or unexpected areas, even more so, because that can guide us to, it almost gives us some guardrails as to what we can play. I mean, obviously we can play anything, you know, but in terms of like, how do we navigate things and make it sound, maybe make non-functional sound functional? I don't know. But if you really clue in on the melody when you're improvising, so the melody, the kind of resting points are over the G minor, and then over the F minor, these are a bar each, and then back to the F for the E flat. So we've got so I'm not necessarily playing the melody, but I'm resting, I'm hearing the melody, and then I'm weaving that in to what I'm playing. Especially those important parts that I'm really thinking about. Because that's such an important, like that's what everything is leading to in this phrase. And then the resolution, very non-functional, I guess. As opposed to, or something, or it's down a minor third from a lot of tension in this chord, or a lot of drama and tension. Flat 9, and then to the regular 9. So those are your next kind of key points of the melody. So I actually was highlighting a lot of the melody, probably more than most people would realize. You know, partly as an example, but that's a great way to navigate and to keep, you know, keep you thinking melodically, and keep you thinking horizontally. You know, we want to move through these changes with that great loose time, that Wayne Shorter feel, that and really make it not like just a running of the changes. So the melody is always like kind of your beacon for that. There's other stuff like the root movement, really understanding that, and then the inner harmony, but the melody, I think, is the most important. Cool. Thank you, Blake, for that question. That's awesome. Joe says the piano is almost too loud. It's distorting a little bit. Come on, Andrew. What's going on with that? Does anyone else think the same thing? We fixed it. We're a step ahead of you, or a step behind, or a step with you. What's up, Christophe? Christophe says, hi, Peter, with the thanks hands emoji. I love that. Thank you, too, my brother. Len Piano says, how to practice walking bass line while improvising. Could you show me step by step, please? Yes. Okay, step by step, you're going to want to take a very simple tune, and I always recommend a blues because most people know the form already. If you don't know the blues form, you want to really learn it, internalize it, get it into your subconscious first. But for a walking 4 blues, and there's a lot of different, you know, there's 3, there's 5, there's 2 feels, but we're talking about just a standard walking 4. We're going to take it slow, step by step. First, we're at whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's all roots. And you might even get your friend the metronome going here. Notice I have that. That's not a prop. That's a real working metronome. 6, or you can do a 5/4 blues, whatever you're doing, but we're going step by step. Just whole notes. Now, in order to get this bass line independent, I don't want to wait until you know how to do it, so you're going to start adding a little bit of something. some simple improv. Just whole notes. None of that. Only roots. Once you can do that 10 choruses in a row, you're going to add in, still whole notes, some linking other choice notes. They can be a lot of things, but normally you're going to be using 5, maybe a little half step above, but it's basically going to be like 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go a little faster, but you would do this at the tempo that you're comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're still whole notes, and I want you to be careful. You don't want to do this. You might be saying, oh, that's a whole note. No, it's not. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, bang. So if you do that with your right hand, then you're not going to be together. Whole notes. Discipline, independence of the fingers, independence of the hands, rather. Okay? Then, so now you've got some different choices. Then you're going to want to start to connect this with half notes, and you're probably going to want to go back to hands alone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe a few half steps below where you're going, but 1 and 5 is fine too. Again, we're just half notes. Once you get that, and there's really no wrong notes as long as you're staying with the rhythm, you're staying in the groove and the swing. You'll hear stuff that you maybe don't like as much, that's fine, you're kind of learning as you go, but then you're going to want to add some simple improv into that. But this is all half notes no matter what you do, so you never want to do more in your right hand than you can handle for your left. Okay? Then you can probably figure out the next step. Quarter notes. And you're going to want to go slower. And you can go back to just that root and 5 first, and then you try some scales. The idea is you're just playing all quarter notes. If you play bad notes, play them. But make sure you keep the time and steady and keep remembering the form. Then you're going to add. Uh-oh, I went back to 2, Phil. It felt so good. Back to 4. Take your time. Don't play anything more complicated than you can while walking the bass line and talking. I mean, if that's just, that's fine. Because the whole point of learning the bass line, and look, I'm not skipping some steps, I'm compressing everything. Lots of left hand alone work. Also when you're back on that half note, some simple comping in the right hand as you put those lines together. Transcribe bass lines as well. That'll really help. Do we do bass lines in Jumpstart Jazz Piano?
Indeed.
We do. Okay, we got a great new course coming out like soon, like in the next couple of weeks, called Jumpstart Jazz Piano, which is like an uber beginner course, but we go through some of these very foundational things. So you can look for that, and we got some stuff. A lot of it's based upon these kind of foundational principles. So thanks, Len. Awesome question. What's up, Thomas in Wales, UK? What's going on? What do you think are the most important things for a drummer auditioning for music school to work on in order to have a solid basis in a range of styles? Okay. That's a great question. I think solid basis in a range of styles. Yeah, that's so important for everybody, but I think especially drummers are kind of expected to really know different styles, different grooves. So, but before that even, I think just having a really solid understanding of the instrument, which for the drums includes a number of instruments, snare drum technique and rudiments and all that stuff that I don't really know a lot. I mean, I know about them, but I'm not an expert on it. But really good cymbal technique, really good brush technique. There's such a diversity just on the instrument level, percussion, and I don't know, getting into vibes and mallet instruments, but just to really know the instrument, I think is even more important than knowing the grooves. The grooves you can learn, you know what I mean? You can learn, like if you have a solid technical foundation, especially as you're going into music school, I don't think you're going to be expected to be a master of, you know, all the Brazilian styles, all the Argentinian styles, all the jazz styles, the funk, the rock. Like, it's okay to specialize, but first and foremost, I think especially at the younger age, you want to specialize in the instrument, really learning the instrument. And I think some of the sort of classic, I don't know if the classical techniques are applied a lot in jazz on drums. I guess they are, certainly with the snare drum and hand position and things like that. You want to really nail those so that as you get into music school and you're exposed to these different things, you've got the technical background to be able to do them. Work on your time, for sure, super important for drummers. Listen to a lot of different styles, and mainly listen to stuff that you like and emulate it, you know. I think it's important. Cool. Donald from DC, what's up, Don? What's up, Donald? I bought the McFerrin, good, and I'm using to work on double thirds in the right hand. Can you demonstrate how to make the shift from fingering 3-5 to 1-3 in the reverse coming down? I guess is this on a major? Is the double thirds, or is it this? I don't know. Do you know about that, Adam? Double thirds in the McFerrin, what's he talking about?
Yeah, I think there are moments where it's like it goes from 1-3 to 3-5.
I wonder if it's that. I don't even remember those being in there. I need to look back at that again. All right. Adam may get the McFerrin and we'll look at it. That might be too granular, but we'll see if we can get you a good answer on that. Otherwise, I don't want to screw that up. But thank you. McFerrin Manual for Scales and Arpeggios is what Donald's talking about. Great. There's many great scale books, but that's kind of one of our favorites around here. Ian in South Yorkshire says, how can I play like Dave McKenna? Listen to Dave McKenna. And probably more importantly, listen to the people, find out who I don't actually know a lot about Dave McKenna. He's amazing pianist, but kind of who he listened to and what his influences are if you really want to play like him. I think, you know, I think it's important that we learn to play and learn from our heroes, but maybe not to play just like them because this is such an individual music. So you can kind of get a lot of the same stuff that he got by checking out the people that he checked out, that kind of things. Fluidi, greetings from Finland. What's up, Finland? What would you think is the most effective way to practice jazz piano? Any suggested routines? Wow, yes, I have a lot of suggested routines. I have about 400 lessons worth of suggested routines. So I'll just give you a few here. You can go check out openstudionetwork.com/piano for all of our piano courses that go in depth. But, you know, just as a general thing for practicing jazz piano, we're starting with the instrument, just like we talked about drums. We are practicing and learning the instrument so that hopefully if and when we have something to say, we have the technical facility to be able to say it, to be able to express ourselves. That's why we learn the instrument. So I think, you know, scales, arpeggios, classical repertoire is a great foundation. Really paying attention to, you know, hand position, independence of the fingers, a number of great exercises. I go over on those. And then all the time, at the same time you're really working on the physical technique is working on your ears. That's like the musical technique that you. Oh, do we have something on the McFerrin?
Yeah.
All right, let me finish this one, and then we're gonna jump back to that. So your mentality is learning the instrument, which is agnostic to any style. It's just being able to play the piano and all the technical challenges that comes along with that, and then working on music. On the things that are going to be able to make it so you can express the music with the technique, which is ear training, learning how to identify intervals, listening to great music, learning solos, all the things that come in that kind of a little bit more esoteric area, learning different styles and those kind of things. And then we're pushing all that forward daily for our jazz, you know, playing until we get to the point where we're kind of confident improvisers. And then we're doing a lot of maintenance and then trying to grow. I mean, jazz pianists are always growing. Great jazz pianists have a growth mindset. They're never like, oh, I've got it. If they do, they sort of start playing the same way and it gets boring. Cool. All right, we're gonna circle back and see.
This is a good technical question. So
this is a great question.
On the C major one.
Whoa.
Come on, Andrew.
Come on, Andrew. No.
Just this first octave, we could see.
Oh, right. Scales and double thirds. So he's asking about jumping from 5-3-1 to 2-4. Oh, right. So, okay. Okay, so when you're going up, and maybe we can see in the overhead here, we go from 3/5 to 1/3. So, you know, this is similar to a lot of times when we're shifting on the piano, whether it's doubles, double thirds or not. We want to be able to move quickly into place, but accurately to the next position. So there's a certain amount of leading with the wrist I think is nice. So in other words, the wrist is going steady. It's not like you stay here and then you shift like that. It's always moving up and down, you know, laterally. So if you think about like a circle, like that, that can give you some smoothness with it. I think that's the best. And then remember, you're going 3/5, and then to 1/3. So the 3, and look, if you're going staccato, this is a lot easier. We're trying to get some finger legato going here. So what this is about is really the 5 to the 3. The 3 you're going to have to pick up because it's repeating. Oh no, we're going to 1/3. So the 3 has to go over the 5. Yeah, so the 1 coming under, that's where you're going to get your most preparation from. So you can practice that. And as that wrist moves is leading, that's going to help you as well. That's another reason I see a lot of pianists kind of stagnant and then the wrist is trailing. You want that wrist leading, physically leading it.
There's a sensation like when you jump when that 3 makes that jump of the wrist is leading and the finger's still down.
Yeah.
It makes a sudden kind of jump easier.
Exactly. What he said. That's it. All right, hope that helped. That's cool. All right, let's move it along because we got a bunch of questions coming. Thanks for the step-by-step walking bass line. Yeah, man, bass line is where it's at. Could you play a rubato chorus of comping on invitation? Gabriel, what am I, a comping monkey here? Yes, I will, as a matter of fact. Why not? Could you play a rubato chorus of comping on invitation? That invitation? Or you're inviting me over for dinner? What's happening? Could you play rubato chorus? Okay. All right, I guess without the melody you want. That's a half a course. It's interesting because as I'm getting into it, you said rubato comping. Comping is very hard to do. I mean, it's kind of impossible to do on your own because it really means accompanying. But in terms of playing chords, so what you heard me doing was kind of trying to hear some melodies, trying to make some music out of it because, you know, or even maybe imagining what somebody might be playing to sort of make it make sense. And I think when I hit that breakthrough, I used to struggle with comping. It was like, wait, it's got to be music. So you're accompanying something. So whether you're imagining it when you practice or actually accompanying someone, what you play can't just be a bunch of hip chords. It has to make sense. It has to be a continuum. So I always try to do that, whether I'm, you know, comping fast over this tune or if it's a ballad or whatever, to really make some sense, some melodies, get some movement that makes sense. Tips, all right, Nico says tips for playing outside in rhythm changes. Yeah. So similar to a lot of different, like normally rhythm changes is played kind of faster. So if you want to play out kind of faster, it's actually easier if you really know the changes, I think, than playing out when you're playing slower. Because what you can do is you can quickly set up a pattern where you're playing very inside. So I might do like the first A where it's like, kind of playing right on the changes, and then the second chorus, just do a few things to go out, which could just be as simple as chromatically up a half step. So let me show you from the top. So I went out at a very obvious point, like the beginning of the 9th bar or whatever, the second A, but because I've been playing so in, it was like, whoa, you're going out, and then I can bring it back in and kind of play with the drama of that, okay? Another way to do it is really understand the form and the architecture of the form and play something melodic, a little riff-based thing, and just move it up whole tone, okay? This is kind of, the first one I did was chromatic. You can do that too, but I like the whole tone. So that automatically pushes you out. So if I play something over B flat, oh, so I might just be that. Anything I do moving up in whole steps is going to get that kind of outside, like just taking a melodic idea and moving it in whole step. That's another nice way to do it. And then there's a bunch more. So there you go. All right. How do you get ideas on bebop tunes? I always seem to come back to the same lines. When I transcribe and learn new lines, I feel like I'm not incorporating them enough. What should I do? Okay, transcribing, you're already doing the right thing. You might need to take a little bit more time when you transcribe for it to come out in your playing. Don't expect it to happen right away. It could take weeks, months, even 6 months or whatever. Who knows? But if you want it to come out organically, that is. If you want to just force it into your playing, you can just sort of remember it or write it down or do it. But I like it when it comes out organically. A way to kind of speed that process up or to ensure that it's going to happen is to practice the solo that you transcribe. Sometimes people transcribe a solo, write it out, or even read it from a transcription, and then they can play the solo, and they're like, how come I don't sound like that person? How come I can't play bebop like Charlie Parker and I transcribe his solo? It's because it's not a part of your vocabulary. So if you learn a language and you just learn how to say something like somebody else says it, until you really repeat it a bunch and make it your own, it's not going to come out in an organic way. So the way to practice a solo that you've transcribed is to play along with the recording, because then you're getting the vibe, the feel, the groove, the phrasing, everything. And somebody had recommended, I think this works really good, is like get some speakers and play them loud enough that you have to kind of really dig in and play to play along with it. So it's like you're almost playing with the band. You can still hear what they're doing, but you got to kind of force yourself to be heard too, as opposed to putting on headphones where maybe you're not hearing yourself, because you want to match along with that. And then repeat it over and over again, day after day. That's how you're practicing that solo. It'll become more part of you, become more part of your fingers, and I guarantee those phrases will start to come out in a really good and organic way. Blake, what's up, Blake? Can you speak on how alterations to a typical major 7 chord are used? Major 7 sharp 11 or sharp 9? Major 7 sharp 11, sharp 9. Are they more commonly used as dominants, tonics? I can't seem to figure the sound out. Yeah, I mean, I think a sharp 9 is more commonly used with a dominant as opposed to a... That's a cool sound. There's also that, which is sharp 11 major with the sharp 9. It just really depends on what kind of sound you want. I think these are really good to experiment with and just get a sense of them, and also to move them around in terms of the not the voicing, but the what do you call it? The order of them, because they can sound very different. So if I do D7 sharp 9, flat 13, but now if I go, it's a very different sound. All I did was put the root on top, so it's a slightly different inversion. Okay, major 7 sharp 11 with the major 7 on top is very different than when the sharp 11 is on top, So you can kind of play around with these voicings. And don't worry if some of them don't sound good. What we're doing is we're just learning what they sound like. These are all major 7 sharp 11 different voices. Try not to double too many notes, but try a little bit of doubling, because sometimes that sounds good too. A lot of it's experimentation, transcribing, you can grab ones that you like from great players, of course. Tom, what's up, Tom? Will this live video be saved for future? Yes, it will be saved right here on the Open Studio YouTube page. John says, hi, is this AMA going to be available on your website or somewhere online, or has it just vanished into the ether? Yeah, that's the same. It's going to be right here. It'll be here. So for you to peruse later. Do you usually play out on the B section of rhythm changes? Do you stretch it on the A section? So good question, Tom. You know, I've never thought about that, but I definitely do not consciously play out on any section, on pretty much any tune, I don't think. I may get lazy sometimes and play out in something that my hands feel comfortable, but I try not to do that. I really try to make the playing out be just a super organic part of my playing that I would never even notice. So like, to me, the goal is at the end of the tune or the night is not to be like, oh, remember when I took it out on those measures on the bridge or whatever? I think you can practice playing out in different things to experiment with how it sounds and feels. But on the rhythm changes, I mean, you know, it's just the bridge is different because the chords, you're sitting on them for longer and they're not as, like, they're all dominant. So they already have a lot of opportunity for tension with alterations. Have the vibe or the accent or something. So you got to kind of use your own musicality in terms of when you're close. What I was talking about practicing before with the recording, that can really push you over the edge once you know the note. It can also tell you if you have the recording up loud enough, you're going to hear if you're clashing and you don't have some of the notes right. So you want to fix those. But I mean, to me, this is the type of thing, if you get, you know, I don't know, 95%, 98%, that's an A. That's good. It depends on how far you want to take it. I mean, I would make a thing. I don't want to overshoot it, but yeah. How's it? Is it sounding good for you guys? Can you see? I'm frozen up myself, but I think that's just my computer. Hopefully you can still see. Could you improvise a chorus of a standard tune you love in 5/4? I guess I could. Let's see. How about that? Oh, that's already in 5/4. Okay, that would be cheating. Oh, that's 7, isn't it? Is that 7, Adam? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, come on, Peter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't do this now because now I'm hearing the 7. Let me do another tune. That's 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, Okay, so the answer to that question is not really. Could you improvise a chorus of a standard tune you love in 5/4? Not really. Let me think about it for a second, because that wasn't very good. I can do 7, no problem. Yeah, let me see if I can get in the zone and come back to that one. But that's an interesting concept. I feel like if I just sat down and did it, it would be so much better. Tony, what's up? Oh, Fabio here. Okay, Tony is Fabio. Oh, Tony Stark, I get it. Can you recommend contemporary jazz blues pianists for transcription? Contemporary, like today. Well, you know, it's funny, like, to me, Herbie Hancock is very contemporary. It might not be what you're thinking, but I can highly recommend. Well, yeah, he is contemporary because he's alive and playing great now. So I think Herbie Hancock's very interesting to improvise. You have like a really big range of periods that you could improvise. I mean, it's kind of logical to start with early Herbie and then maybe move to mid and later. But, you know, you've got a lot of different choices there. I would just say, too, pianist Brad Mehldau, that's a great pianist that I've been listening to a lot recently that I went for quite a bit of time not really listening to. I mean, I'd hear him live or see him and say, hey, but checking out his recordings again, which has been fun. He's a really fun one. I've never actually transcribed anything of his, but I would certainly recommend it. Who else we got, Adam? Contemporary. Chick Corea is pretty contemporary, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's okay.
Everybody alive is contemporary.
Well, I mean, I hate putting these guys, like, just because you're old, they're still good. That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? It's like they are.
Kids, how about our buddy Sullivan Forner?
Oh, Sullivan Fortner, that would be good. Yeah, I mean, we never really recommend because it's like there's so much sort of foundational things to transcribe, and transcribing takes so long. But there'd be nothing wrong with some Aaron Deal or some Sullivan Fortner, Christian Sands. I just never recommend transcribing them, not because they're not good. It's just because I'm thinking like Wynton Kelly and Bill Evans or whatever. But I mean, the best thing about transcribing and is really delving into stuff that you're passionate about. You know, stuff that you love listening to, and that could be anything. It could be any instrument too. It doesn't have to be piano for sure. There you go. Blake, another question. I've heard you talk a lot about Herbie. Really? Yes, I have. You're right. Can you speak of a specific influence he's had on you, maybe a harmonic concept? Well, you know, a specific influence, more than just one harmonic concept, actually, that I would say is the most important is his musical growth mindset. What a big influence that has had on me. His attitude towards growing as a musician, always. I hear it in his music, I hear it in what he says, definitely heard it in his biography. I hear it in the projects that he does, the way that he plays. He stays himself, but he's always growing. He's always got that kind of just almost urgency to his playing and his attitude about music that's about growth, you know, an urgency to grow. And that's had a huge influence on me. When I was younger, I didn't fully understand it, but I appreciated it. And as I've, you know, grown older and got a chance to be around him a little bit, mostly just around his music, I've really started to understand that that's what it comes from, that willingness and eagerness to grow, that humbleness. So that's been a super big influence on me. I mean, specific harmonic concepts, you know, all these kind of like double diminished and cluster chords, whatever the heck they're called. A lot of that stuff has definitely influenced me as well. All that kind of thing. I mean, influenced me. I've stolen it basically, like every other pianist. That's what I've done. Oh, okay. How are we doing here? I think I'm answering some questions. I am answering questions up in here. We got, how many people we got here? 56. That's super exciting. I really appreciate you guys being here. I mean, thank you so much. It means a lot to me to be here, because I could just be here talking to Andrew and Adam, and they wouldn't listen. They'd walk out. I can tell you that right now. They've asked me everything already. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go back and look if I messed up anything. Can you play Chorus of Invitation? I think I did that.
Hey,
I know.
Joe was asking about Big Band Playing. Tell him we're going to have a podcast episode on that coming up.
Oh, right. Yeah, we delved deep. We went deep in that. We did it from the piano standpoint and the drummer standpoint.
You say what I said, because he didn't hear.
Oh, yeah, Adam was just saying that Joe, I'm sorry I missed that, was asking about big band piano playing, as in playing piano in a big band. So, yeah, I mean, we have a whole episode coming up in the next few days, right? Yeah. And I'll just talk real quickly. How many of you guys are fans of the You'll Hear It podcast? Me, I'm a fan. What? If you're not, check it out. Do you like podcasts? Are you cool? Are you intelligent? These are questions we want to know. Now, if you're not into podcasts, jump on the podcast bandwagon. We're having a lot of fun. My co-host, Adam Manis, we call it Daily Jazz Advice. We've also called it Witless Banter at times. We have a lot of different names for it, but we have fun. It's every day. It's between like 8 minutes and maybe 15 minutes, usually around 10 minutes, and produced by Andrew Kitchen right here locally in the Pod Cave, which is right directly over there. And we just talk about jazz. We have a little keyboard. We even do it at the piano sometimes. It's not just for pianists. It's not just for people that love jazz. There's no barrier to entry. If you don't like jazz, it might get a little boring, but you know, we delve into political aspects of the jazz world a little bit, but no actual politics usually. We have guests occasionally. We have guest hosts occasionally. We have a lot of fun. So you can check that out wherever you listen to podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, of course, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever. Just search, you'll hear it, basically, and hopefully it'll come up. So we hope you get a chance to do that. What else we got? What am I missing here? We might be ending on time today. That would be a first.
How about one more about Ian Jenkins' advice for working, adding chromaticism to your solo?
How did I miss all these and you see them? Oh, because I skipped over some stuff at the beginning. My bad. Any ideas for modal tunes? Ooh, I screwed up. I thought I was so ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah, do a modal thing. I want to hear it.
Oh, I hate modal. No, I love modal. I don't know what it is. Wait, what's the question about modal?
So what? Do so what?
Now let me just find the question here. Oh, any ideas for modal tunes from Gene? Gene Kelly. Wow. We got a celebrity in the house, dancer. Any ideas for modal tunes where you have long sections of one chord? Are you thinking shapes, fourths? Does it depend on the tune? Definitely depends on the tune. You know, I think modal and long stretches of the same chord are, I guess they're kind of the same because they intersect a lot, but they're really sort of different things. Because, you know, on a ballad, if like the one I was playing before, the very thought of you, in a way, this is all D flat major or actually it's in A flat, or E, whatever it's in. Whatever the tonic key is, it sits there for a long time, and then it kind of moves up, dies. So that's almost like, I guess, the type of thing where you're sitting on a chord, which you wouldn't typically think of it as modal. But the type like that you're saying, like impressions or whatever, you're really sitting on one chord. There's only two chords in that, right? D minor. So that's more like we don't have built-in exciting, you know, harmonic things. Like if you think about a tune like not Dolphin Dance, what's that called? One Finger Snap. So this is oftentimes thought of as a modal thing because you're sitting on each chord. But you actually have a fair amount of harmonic movement. So even though you sit for a while, you've got that built in. Whereas impression, you only have one harmonic change. So everything that we're going to build up in terms of drama, storytelling, improvising, all that good stuff is going to come from somewhere else besides the harmony, unless we add that in ourselves. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's actually a good thing. You just have to kind of be aware of it and be able to hear it. So it's like D minor. I don't necessarily think about fourths, although I certainly get into that kind of playing sometimes. But what I'm really thinking about is melody and rhythm, because especially the way I'll typically solo at first on a tune like this, I'm not going to necessarily be changing the harmony a lot, putting a lot of alterations, chromaticism, taking it out, so etc. So that really leaves the rhythm and the harmony as the foundation for what I'm going to do as an improviser. Blues, of course, we can always pull that in at any time. That's kind of an alteration, but otherwise, this is all straight Dorian. So in terms of, and I'm going to go through quick because we're getting close to the end, there's so many ideas on this. Shapes, yes, but only in terms of how they relate to the rhythm and the melody. So I might think of this shape, which is, you know, a major third and a perfect fourth separated by major second. It's also 2/4 with that put in, so. And then I might play with that as we go from the D minor to the E flat, but I'm still thinking about it in a hip, hopefully a hip way, rhythmically and melodically. It's never just like, you know, where you're just running up and down, you know, just laterally, you know. Nothing worse than that, you know. You can play with fours. You can play exclusively with fours and make it interesting, but you got to really double down on that melodic and rhythmic concept. And then when I do take it on the outside of the harmony, are you outside of your mind? You know, I'm thinking like something that pulls it together melodically. So it's not just where it's just random. It's like, so there I'm like some triads, you know, to build a melody on. So that almost becomes sort of the pattern, the foundation. Now there it sounded like I was really going out, out, but I wasn't. I wasn't with the right hand, at least. I was doing more bluesy stuff with some chromaticism in the left hand. That's another kind of trick. You know, that kind of a thing. But there's definitely like areas that I know how they sound that are really fun to build. And then makes it very satisfying when you kind of come back. And then, you know, what you're comping with the left hand, I mean, I certainly should be probably more active, you know, melodically too with my left hand. But you've got the force, but it's fun when you throw in them with some more third bass, traditional kind of. And then you have those kind of choices to go to, you know. Yeah, so that's, I mean, modal playing. You're playing over one mode for a while, that kind of thing. Ron, I'm a guitarist. Some keyboard players listen and some don't. Yes, you are telling the truth, my brother. That is true. But I don't know, pianists and guitarists, I don't know that we're more guilty of this than other instruments. I mean, a lot of times we have big ears because we kind of understand things, have a little bit more, let me be careful, not get into trouble. You're right, absolutely what you said. Ercico, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Apologies if I'm not. Great, thanks from Spain. Thank you, thank you. Joe, tips for big band. We're going to hit that in the You'll Hear It soon. Modal tunes, we hit it. What else we got? Courses, like ideas for your courses. Play series, like, oh yeah, this is great. Thank you, Christoph. Kenny Barron, Chick Corea, Bill Evans. Yeah, we've been talking about that, doing courses on a particular artist, you know, and I've always shied away from that because I'm like not an expert on any of these people. But I'd love to dive deep and try to do some of that. So thank you very much for the suggestion. So we are right at an hour, and I turn into a witch, a piano witch, in an hour. So I'm going to kind of wrap things up, and I want to just say thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to do another one. I don't know if we have the date yet, but stay tuned because we're going to be announcing it soon. And it's going to actually be an AMA and a You'll Hear It live together. So we're going to take questions. We're going to do a podcast that's going to be live. We're going to have a lot of fun. So please stay tuned. That'll probably be right here on the YouTube channel as well. Check out the podcast when you get a chance if you like it. Open Studio Network. We got a lot of exciting new courses coming very soon. New platform coming very soon, but I'm not allowed to officially announce it, even with the new URL and everything. So be on the outlook for that. I hope everyone's summer is going well. Please stay safe. Hope you and your families and loved ones are doing wonderful. Until next time, happy practicing.